Give a round of applause to the NYC dance troupe. NYC. Sorry, there will be very well. Come on. This is fantastic. Very fantastic.
Love it.
Mama,
Uh-huh.
Mama,
Yeah.
do you know I went for an interview?
Uh-huh.
Even the interviewer said it is well that I was the best candidate for the job.
Yes, now. Now.
But guess what, Mama? They are asking for a huge sum of money just to get the job. Isabel, he said I must bribe him to
Right.
get the job.
Right.
And Papa, no, may God rest his soul. He always emphasized on the need to get things by merit and not by look and look. But now, what do I do?
My son, I've had such reports like this. How all these failures take our dignity to patronize their pockets. How pathetic.
You know my friend, man. You know my friend, man. A first-class graduate of mechanical engineering. I'm an employment industry looking for a job. I don't even know what to be in the hands of this. Only God can save us.
See, my friend, enough is enough.
Enough is enough. It's happening. This news thing. Don't give me up. Yeah. Now, what? We have an appointment. Oh, then I give brought something to us in our house. Stop. I came to live with you, sir. Please. Any exam, any test you want to put me through, I know I'll pass. You even said that I'm the best candidate for this job. I don't have money. I am not the son of a poor widow. We can barely feed. I even late on rent. Very soon now, we'll be evicted. Why do we enjoy nursing? Why others sit in poverty? What gain do you have? Sir, please. Why? If you would pay, you pay. Hell, look at my office. Please, sir, you should be considered. I'm begging you, sir, please. Begging you. It's why I'm a poor fan. Young man, get out of my office before you come here to sue me. You should be called outside. Now. Brothers and sisters, yes, no corruption with our dignity stand. Yes, we stand to stand. Yes, we stand to stick out. Yes, corruption steals our future. Corruption steals our rights. We fight the truth. We fight the facts. I will not pay to work. Yes, I will not sell my dignity. Yes, sir, I know you will not. My people, it is time we all rally around and call on the interagency task team to expose this darkness. Yes.
You've done the right thing by reporting this. And putting potential evidence of a recording. We are here to protect your dignity. We will look into this and ensure that justice is served.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Please.
This act of bribery and corruption has been going on for so long. And that is why people like us are scared to speak up.
Imagine.
I don't know how many people that are still drowning in this corruption.
No man will not be afraid. Let's go from you. When people like you stand up, that is why we are so bad. You should be worried. I don't want to us, but people with substantial evidence. We will look into it. I am sure that
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Officer Aisha, Chief Officer Dayo. I am from the Anti-Aging Environment. Sir, you are under arrest.
For what?
Charges of corruption and abuse of office. I urge you to remain silent because whatever you say or do be used against you in the court of law. Officer Dayo. Sir, nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. Corruption is challenged. Dignity returns. But we do not stand alone. I stand here to represent the agency tax team. Which consists of 22 NDAs. All the agency tax team. We stand together. Together, we eradicate this corruption. My people, your dignity is worth more than silver or gold.
Together, we fight for our rights.
Together, we fight for our dignity. Yeah.
Well, this is
Ló máa jẹ́.
really. Quick.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that was a very scintillating. That was a very scintillating. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a very scintillating performance by the NYS dance group. I think we can give them another round of applause. And I believe that's set us on the right tone for this program to begin. We shall at this moment invite to the service table those among us who have more responsibilities. So as we prepare to do that, I noted that, all right, they're coming in. You know, it is often said that too much is given, much is expected. And we're also meant to give honor to whom it is due. For uneasy lies the head that knows what. Okay. In these days of artificial intelligence, don't you remember our usual proverbs and idioms anymore? Uneasy lies the head that, good, I'm sure you wear your own crown one day. So let's show them some respect so that we can wear our crowns. As we expect them to fight in, great. All right, great. The other time we made a very passionate appeal, we took appeal back to come forward. We can see some very, very powerful men at the front, but we are women especially, you can see them over there, but we urge you to also move a row or two further as we get started, please. Come on, we can do it. And as the ladies and gentlemen of the representing the various interagency tax team of the Senate stable is Guatemala. I noticed particularly that AIG Victor Olaya was enjoying so much the performance by the NYC dance group, was nodding his head. I said, good. Very good. You're welcome, sir. As the service table is fully occupied, let's welcome all of them, particularly in the order of my list here, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Olukayode, who is represented by AIG Victor Olaya. We'll get to these two protocols, but I'll be reminded of some more important national duty. So may I, at this time, request that this respectable student of Nigeria and people from all over the world watching all from
all forms of channels. I will invite also this time to please rise for the national anthem. Ready? At the count of 2. 1, 2. Without wasting much time, we acknowledge the presence of, once again, the presence of Mrs. Jerry Agba, OONMNI, the Solicitor General of the Federation and Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Justice, who is representing the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice. We also acknowledge Kayode Adeosi, represented by the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 7, Headquarters, FCT and Niger State, Assistant Inspector General of Police, Victor Olaya, who is also at the high level. A round of applause for today. I am very sure that I will read the order here and expect that they are all at the service table. I'm Dr. Abdullahi Usman Bello, who is the chairman of the Code of Conduct. Dr. Bello has very interesting titles, FCCA and CFA. We'll get to know the meaning of that later. We're also happy to have a very senior colleague of mine, Victor Morocco, Esquire, who is the Executive Chairman, Fiscal Responsibility Commission. And Morocco has been quite consistent in his work to promote the development of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Honorable Bashir Abubakar, MFR, Honorable Chief Commissioner, Public Complaints Commission, and Deputy Secretary General of the African Ombudsman and Mediators Association. That's quite a lot, sir. A big round of applause for him. We're also happy to have some people who are working very quietly but surely in the fight against corruption in this country. And I'm talking about the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission, the chairman, who is represented here by the secretary, Mr. Clifford Obaro. Mr. Clifford, I understand Mr. Clifford is also associated to me, assisted here by the presence of Mr. Henry Amora, who is the director legal. Don't worry, you are recognized. And finally, Mr. Timos Vegas, who is the deputy head of the delegation of the European Union to the Federal Republic of Nigeria and headquarters. And then the woman who has given me this task today, Mrs. Jane Owumere, who is the head of the Technical Unit of Governance and Anti-Corruption Reform in Nigeria, and is the head of the Secretariat, so the interagency scientist. So much. And that brings Mr. Owumere to give us the brief remark on behalf of them.
Thank you. Frank Tete, Esquire. The Solicitor General of the Federation and Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Victory J. Agba, OONMNI. The Chairman for the Conduct Bureau, Dr. Abdullahi Usman Bello, The Chairman, Fiscal Responsibility Commission, Victor Morocco, Esquire. The Honorable Chief Commissioner, Public Complaints Commission, Honorable Bashir Abubakar, MFR. The representative of the Inspector General of Police, AIG Victor Olaya. The Commission Secretary, Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Mr. Clifford Okarodu. The Deputy Head of Delegation of the European Union to the Federal Republic of Nigeria and ECOWAS, Mr. Lysimos Lendos. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Interagency Task Team, I welcome you to this significant event in commemoration of the African Anti-Corruption Day 2025. The 11th of July is designated by the African Union as the African Anti-Corruption Day in commemoration of the adoption of the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption. Our gathering here today signifies a shared commitment to the fight against corruption and also a testament of our great desire to eradicate corruption and improve the lives of Nigerian citizens and Africans at large. The theme of this year's commemoration, promoting human dignity in the fight against corruption, is vital and timely. We are reminded that corruption is not just a financial or legal issue, but a violation of the fundamental rights of our people. When resources for socioeconomic development are diverted, it undermines trust in institutions, hinders economic growth, and disproportionately affects the poor and vulnerable. The right to human dignity is one of the inalienable rights guaranteed to every Nigerian as enshrined in Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. We have also signed up to various international treaties in that regard. Across our continent, courageous efforts are being made to confront corruption head-on. This year's theme challenges us all to connect the dots between integrity and human dignity in order to ensure that our anti-corruption strategies do not merely punish wrongdoing, but protect the rights and well-being of every citizen. Just as we have collectively developed mechanisms and strategies to block illicit financial flows, manage recovery of stolen assets, and prescribe punitive measures to stop corruption, we are once again called upon to put our resources to good use to integrate the protection of human rights in our fight against corruption. For a government to be accountable, transparent, responsible, and fair, it must be built on the foundation of respecting and preserving the rights of our citizens. Therefore, the protection of human rights must be integrated as an integral part in the fight against corruption. As we begin today's proceedings, I invite you all, government leaders, civil society, the youth, media, the private sector, and our international development partners to engage fully, to share openly, and to recommit to building our continent where transparency, accountability, and respect for human rights are not merely aspirations, but a reality. I cannot conclude my remarks without extending our appreciation to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the European Union Idea Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, the MacArthur Foundation, and the Center for Democracy and Development for their support to the fight against corruption in Nigeria, and specifically for supporting this event. I also want to thank the management and staff of the 21 ministry departments and agencies that make up the IATT for putting together time and resources
to ensure that this event is a success. This shows the strength in intelligence cooperation and collaboration. I look forward to fruitful and impactful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Jane O'Mary, for that opening map. Mr. Peter Harrison, the Director of Special Duties, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, is hereby recognized. Are you somewhere there? A round of applause for him. All right, great. Thank you for the great job you're doing. Nigerians are feeling a sense of government in close because of the work you're doing. And Dr. Fawani Usaya, please, I don't think this was communicated correctly. Please, you will permit me to let me add that, please forgive me. Director of the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, you're welcome. A round of applause. I demand the proper right of this page so that we can properly recognize. It's not easy to get to the top. It's a lot of work. We also recognize Asiana Cyril M. Bello, Director of Civil Infrastructure, representing the Director General of the Bureau of Public Procurement. Are you there, sir? And before we move ahead, I will recognize Olumide Elijah Oduri, who is the Director of Public Relations, Interagency Collaboration at the Public Complaints Commission. Thank you, sir. That was very brisk, sir. You don't want them to know you. A round of applause for him, please. And we've gone to the round of goodwill messages. And on the list here, I would like to start with a very respectable gentleman, Mr. Victor Morocco, who is the Executive Secretary of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. Mr. Morocco, round of applause for Mr. Morocco. I can't believe the message.
Good morning, everybody. We're here again for this year's African Anti-Corruption Day. Let me, by work protocol, I think it has been established, but I will just attempt to say, because the Honorable Attorney General is here, let me recognize the Solicitor General of the Federation, who is representing the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Mrs. Jedi Agba. Let me also recognize Mr. Zins Vegas, the Deputy Head of Delegation of the European Union, who is here fiscally. I will not first acknowledge the Head of Technical Units in Governance, Mrs. Jane Onwule, whose efforts with donor partners that were gathered here. In my place, I have my brother here, Dr. Emma of Rolac. I recognize you because I know a lot of partnership we have with you will be a jeopardy if I don't do that. Yes. So, having done that, let me excuse myself from every other protocol. Let me say that we're gathered here once again on behalf of the Management and Staff of Fiscal Responsibility Commission. We are pleased to be here again to continue to do a little bit to see how we can, if we cannot kill, at least to reduce drastically this kind of work called corruption. So I'm particularly invited to this high-level seminar today on Africa's Corruption Day with the team promoting human dignity in the fight against corruption. which could not have been more apt and timely considering the continuing insidious destruction and erosion of the basic rights and dignity of the citizens of our country and society by this pervasive corruption. I sincerely congratulate, commend and appreciate my professional colleague, the head of technical unit on governance and anti-corruption reforms, Mrs. Jane Omwede, and her energetic team for bringing us together again. I also commend the efforts of the Development Bank Commemoration of Africa Anti-Corruption for continuing to build the spotlight and to sustain the daunting but essential existential fight against hydra-headed monster and treacherous evil of corruption in our dear country and continent. I also salute the commitment to deepening and strengthening interagency collaboration and cooperation through interagency tax team and IATT in the fight against graft and corruption, particularly as we say in the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. We are all aware that corruption in all its ramifications represents a fundamental affront to human dignity, essentially when funds meant for other developmental purposes are diverted to personal pockets or other things that have nothing to do with our citizens. For instance, you will all agree with me that our health, educational, even social needs have grossly been affected by corruption. Funds meant for such things have been diverted. And as we gather here this year, again, I think we should be asking ourselves some pertinent questions. Are we making progress? Where are we in it? The time has come for all of us to begin to have an introspection amongst ourselves so that some of these talk shops, seminars, and programs we organize, we should be gauging the level of what we have achieved or what we are achieving. Gathering here is not bad, it's good, but what are the data? What are the things we can say we have achieved with all that we are doing? Therefore, there is no gainsaying the fact that promoting human dignity and restoring the value and worth of every human being or individual are very vital in the fight against corruption. In addition to punishing the corrupt and recovering stolen assets by prioritizing human dignity in anti-corruption battle, let me use this opportunity to commend and encourage all the anti-corruption agencies that have been making efforts in the past year, months. We've had a lot about recoveries. I commend such recoveries. I commend EFCC, ICPC, and other agencies, including by Fiscal Responsibility Commission. We've done a lot to recover a lot of funds that should ordinarily be channeled to the consolidated revenue funds of the federal government. Because these funds, when they are not remitted rightly, they are available for corrupt practices. We will not give up in ensuring that those funds are meant. Fighting corruption does not only waiting for when it is committed. We as human beings, even as citizens, you can take benefit of opportunities, like as in Section 51 of Fiscal Responsibility Act, which gives citizens the right and the power to say, to even go to court to challenge corrupt practices. One of the challenges I've been having is that citizens are not really taking opportunity of some provisions in our laws to get these things right. If you see something, you have to say something. I can only remember that in only 2 instances by a civil society group that have been able to raise issues on some of these corrupt practices. So let me try to round up by saying that anti-graft agents and law enforcement agents must treat whistleblowers and informants with dignity and adequate protection in order to encourage fighting corruption. Let me also use this opportunity to call upon the Parliament to find ways urgently enact the whistleblower policy into law. The longer this stays as a policy, the more corruption thrives. I will also call on the Parliament to the need to amend the Fiscal Responsibility Act. Number 2007 31, which has 54 offenses without one punishment, is not helping the fight against corruption. On this note, I've run out of my time. Let me thank all of you. I very much look forward that with what we say today will improve. And by the time we're gathering here again next year, we would have achieved a lot. We should be able to measure the yardstick of what we have achieved. God bless all of you. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Victor Baragba. I was quickly reminded that Mr. Baragba is all right, thank you very much. It's okay that Mr. Baragba, I have to remind you that the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation is going to deliver the keynote address and he should. I was also told to remind us that every goodwill message will not be more than 3 minutes. But by the way, I always enjoy listening to Mr. Baragba. Round of applause to Mr. Baragba, the executive chairman. I was told he's not executive secretary, so maybe the chairman has more work than secretary. Again, quickly, we'll go very quickly now, please. Dr. Emmanuel Uche, who is the program manager of Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program in ROLAC International Idea, is here. I know we've already recognized it, but let us give him his cue. Princess Chikero, representative of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, out there. Madam, thank you for the work you do. Round of applause for her. Please, you remember that's a woman. When a woman is doing a good job, the hand clap should be doubled. All right, we'll move on very quickly to another goodwill message. But please, let's be reminded that the Honorable Attorney General is waiting to give the keynote address, so let's be brief. So respectfully, let me welcome Dr. Abdullahi Usman Bello, who is the chairman of the School of Conductor for the School of Management. Round of applause for the chairman.
Esteemed members of the ALC Council, distinguished guests, and educated and corruption advocates. Please permit me to start on this historic corruption day. I am deeply honored as chairman of the Board of Conduct to join you in United African Union Connected event planning of trying Please respect our collective progress and renewed our goal, use the corruption free account. But of conduct, main penal code and general rights against corruption, ensuring the public officers adhere to the highest standards of conduct and accountability. Alignment to the agency tax scheme issue was headed by Technical Unit of Governance and Corruption. We have permitted prosperity among anti-corruption organizations. So why our impact? Nigeria's leadership, this presidential model lies by the African Union and underscores the importance of our shared interests. And please share the insights of in making transparency to ensure accessibility of our homes. And please share a key side of CCTV making to strengthen transparency in Nigeria. To ensure accessibility, we at CCTV have introduced a self-service declaration form where public servants can go to our website and download our form. This is just a temporary measure before we develop our own online asset declaration system. Additionally, we have commenced continuous verification of assets and liabilities of public officers, starting with permanent secretaries. This first phase will extend to ministers, directors, head of agencies, ensuring rigorous accountability at the highest level of public service. This initiative reflects our unwavering commitment to promoting ethical conduct and empowering citizens to demand transparency. On this African Anti-Corruption Day, let us unite in our efforts to create a Nigeria where justice, fairness, and integrity prevail. The CCTV pledges to deepen its collaboration with the IATT and all stakeholders. This day calls us to action to strengthen institutions, empower citizens, and promote transparency in all our spheres of governance. The CCTV pledges to intensify its efforts by promoting integrity and supporting initiatives that mobilize society against corruption. Together, we can support the vision of a just and equitable Africa. I extend my profound gratitude to the IATT, Sugar, and all stakeholders for their relentless dedication. Let us continue to work hard in creating a legacy of good governance for the future of generations. Happy African Anti-Corruption Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have to counter the spirit of corruption that is affecting this microphone. Are you talking to the control room? Yes. Okay, good. Yes. The spirit of corruption that is affecting this microphone is hereby found and cast out. I welcome please, control room, on a very serious note, control room, this noise is unacceptable. It's unacceptable if you never come down here or acceptable. Please. At this time, join me in welcoming the representative of who is the deputy head of the delegation of the European Union to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and please control room sit on this. Or I will come with them. Around our phone, the deputy head of the delegation for service.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and salam alaikum. My name is Ismail Burgos. I'm the deputy head of delegation. I'm representing here today Ambassador Gauthier Mignon, our head of delegation. It's always the protocol always in this kind of event. It's very rich and who to acknowledge first, but the high offices of the Attorney General MP represented here, the Ombudsman of the Federation, the representatives of the Inspector General of the Police, the various commissions, all the head of anti-corruption and oversight agencies, the members of the civil society, development partners, citizens. I think the protocol here is we're acknowledging the presence of the dream team of anti-corruption efforts here in Nigeria. And it's very important that all these people come together because they have reasons to celebrate and they have reasons to contemplate. Of course, it's a big honor for us. Yes, we're an institutional investor in this Nigerian venture because this is how we demonstrate our partnership. Our partnership, of course, is expressed with funding. We are supporting all this effort, and I will speak briefly about it with a quite known to you ROLAC program, the rule of law and anti-corruption program. But I would like to say a little bit more on what it was mentioned by the previous speaker, and I think that's a very important part of my goodwill message. What we are doing here is reasserting our commitment to a shared objective. The shared objective is the need to give back to the citizens their human dignity, the opportunity for their development. If we don't do that, we undermine the foundation of our society, because corruption is not a Nigerian problem, it's a universal problem. It just happened to be in Nigeria right now, as we're discussing. I usually refer to this important process of citizenship, the value chain of citizenship, when delivery of services to the citizen that promotes social inclusion, education primarily, health, security, any type of safety net does not take place, we have marginalization. The next stage, citizenship, which is financial inclusion, cannot also happen if the business enabling environment, the rules, the investment climate is not upheld. If a person is blocked from social and financial inclusion, the political inclusion becomes impossible. And that's the whole essence, that corruption acts against the possibility of the citizen to be an active element in the political conversation and future of his country. I have a Nigerian friend that he told me that 40 years ago, when he was much younger in his respective state, he could go outside the governor's office and pick up a copy of the budget of his respective state that was out there for all the citizens to take and be informed. So this means that Nigeria has ingrained solutions to tackle this. It's just about threading back, it's about conversation, it's about political commitment to address it. So, because I see the Master of Ceremony looking up over my shoulders, I just want to say that Nigeria, just conclude, has the institutional strength, the legal tools, and through partnerships, like what we're offering through ROLAC, the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, the international support to make corruption the exception, not the norm. So you have everything. You have the tools, you have the institutions, you have the legal armament, you have the support of the international community. The European Union remains committed to working this journey with you And we are honored to be in this important itinerary because a future where integrity defines leadership, justice protects the weak, and dignity is not a privilege is possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was brilliant. So let's come all the way from Europe back home to the permanent friends of the people. Let's hear from the permanent friends of the people. So allow me at this time to welcome the Inspector General of Police of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is ably represented by Assistant Inspector General of Police Victor Olaya, to give his good message. Clap for them. They are always our friends. Or are you happy with them? Clap, clap, clap. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, good morning, everybody. I bring greetings from the Inspector General of Police, was directed at our representative on this occasion. Please permit me to stand on the already well-established protocol. Today is a good day and glad to be here. I'll say just permit me to share 1, 2, 3 experiences with you on this very important day. You will agree with me I've seen a lot. I've served in the east, I've been in the west, I've been in the north, and I've been in the south, the parts of Nigeria, and I think I've seen a lot. And when we talk about corruption, I'll share one experience with you. I was Deputy Commissioner of Police in Yobe, in charge of administration, and I went to the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of criminal investigation. And while I was there, a Chinese national came in, and he had a case. He was a complainant. Somebody defrauded him. He was apprehended, and so the investigations have been completed, and he was to be charged to court. So when the Chinese national came in, he asked the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of criminal investigation just one question. He said he came to find out the date when he will be shot, as killed. And because he wanted to know the date and place, so he wanted to witness when that criminal will be shot, because that's the penalty for corruption, where it comes from. And so we laughed and said, no, we don't kill them, we prosecute them. He'll be arraigned in court. Now, that tells us about, we're talking about punishment now. You know, punishment is for deterrence. And if the punishment is not discouraging enough, you will have more people willing to take the risk of, going into crime. I also had the privilege of being the area commander in one part of Nigeria where the crime rate was high. And in that same place, one occasion, a young boy of about 17 years of age, he brought to the office a large sum of money he found on the road. And that young boy brought him to the station. I was dumbfounded because when you have so much crime around you, and when you see an exceptional case like that, you sometimes you're taken aback. And he narrated that was going, and then he found it and he didn't know what to do, so he brought it to the station, the police station. That tells you that all hope is not lost. And of course, with the ongoing renewed hope agenda of President, I can assure you that we need more people on that side of integrity. So we need to win more disciples on the side of integrity. I assure you that we have a lot of people with integrity in this country. I've seen it, I've met so many. I have a lot of people with integrity. So we also have the bad. What we need to do is to win more people to the side of integrity. On this note, I want to thank the organizers and I want to wish everybody happy, very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I noticed the audience was listening with rapt attention when the AIG was speaking. I was wondering whether it was out of fear because it was talking about people being shot. Anyway, we are happy that the Honorable Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NAITI, walked in as the program was going on, and I'm referring to Dr. Orji Ogunaya. I am particularly fond of Mr. Orji. I love him so much. If I ask him to come and give his goodwill message, he will say the last shall be the first. So let me quickly go. Let me be dispassionate to invite Honorable Bashir Abubakar, MFR, the Honorable Chief Commissioner of Public Complaints Commission, and Deputy Secretary General, please wait, and Deputy Secretary General of African Ombudsman and Mediators Association. You can have clap. Thank you, sir. Hello, welcome.
Let me start by appreciating the organizers of this very special program, very important to our dear nation, Nigeria, especially with the children theme on promoting human dignity in the fight against corruption. This topic is very apt, and with this, let me appreciate the organizers and also permit me to recognize the very important dignitaries of the high table and our very, very special guest this morning. Good morning to all of you, and please entries from Public Complaints Commission. The choosing theme, promoting human dignity in the fight against corruption, is both timely and profound, reminding us to re-examine our strategies in combating hydra-headed monster called corruption and ensure that it is firmly anchored on the preservation of human dignity. There is no gainsaying the fact that corruption is not only an economic crime, it is a fundamental assault on the dignity, rights, and welfare of citizenry. Corruption undermines development, erodes public trust in our governance institutions, and creates an unjust society where citizens are denied access to the basic necessities of life. The dignity, rights, and welfare of citizenry that erodes public trust in our governance institutions and creates an unjust society where citizens are denied access. Sorry for repeating.
The 2009 report, 2009, emphasized the negative consequences of corruption on many different public goods and services, such as access to administrative justice, judiciary, politics, healthcare, and education, which are all crucial for the promotion of human rights, dignity of the human person. Not only does corruption violate human rights, security of lives, properties, welfare, and dignity, which the Nigerian Constitution has established as fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy. It also creates widespread frustrations among our population and consequently pushes them towards aggressive conduct that threaten the peace, stability of our dear country. It is important to say here that in our relentless pursuit of justice, as state institutions involved in the fight against corruption and the design of these strategies and their implementation are not harmful to human rights. Our procedures for detecting and combating corruption should not infringe on fundamental norms such as the right to fair hearing, fair trial, presumption of innocence, guarantee against self-incrimination, right to personal liberty, right to privilege and family life, etc. At the Public Complaints Commission, we strongly believe that restoring human dignity must be the moral anchor of the anti-corruption crusade. This entails not only punishing corrupt practices, but also building systems and structures that foster administrative fairness, equity, and accountability at all levels of governance. As Nigeria's ombudsman, the PCC plays a strategic role in giving life to these principles through our mandate to oversee and review administrative conduct of public institutions at the forefront of promoting citizens' access to administrative justice. We do this through proactive and systemic investigations into maladministration, bureaucratic impunity, abuse of discretion, and practices that enable corruption to thrive within the public and private sector organizations. By addressing these root causes, we do not only combat corruption, but uphold the dignity of ordinary Nigerians who seek redress, fairness, and good governance. We also recognize that must not be a privilege, but rights, in line with our field to examine administration such with a view to identifying, eliminating impediments to the timely and equitable delivery of justice. By doing so, we aim to foster a judicial process that is transparent, accountable, and centered. We affirm our unwavering commitment to the full and faithful implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. In particular, we align with Chapter 2 of the Convention, which emphasizes prevention of corruption through institutional integrity. We are therefore aligned to all the programs and objectives of this seminar, and we can assure you that Public Complaints Commission is way at hand to partner with all the partnering agencies in ensuring that justice prevails in all our institutions. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you self-delivery. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. In the eyes of the Nigerian public, this commission enjoys a lot of respect and regard, and I'm referring to the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, whose chairman is ably represented here today by Mr. Clifford Opara. A round of applause as the ICPC takes its goodwill message, gives a goodwill message. Of course, I know, that's why I mentioned it. Oh, you don't want to take that credit? Another round of applause, give them the credit. I know, I know for certain that it's not, it's not presented.
Yeah, but I'm already on my page. I don't want you to deny me the opportunity to make a presentation at the appropriate time. Good morning, everybody. I stand on very existing protocol. I bring you greetings from the chairman, management and staff of ICPC. Yes, I know. This program today, which is being celebrated every year, I can stand it, is good for us. It reminds us of the happenings and the ills in the society today. And it gives us the opportunity to brainstorm, to assess, just like somebody has earlier said, assess what we have done, how we're going to improve, and to tackle the menace, which is corruption. It's a menace, it does nobody any good. And it's important that as human beings and people in positions of authority, whether you like it or not, we should be able to play our own part to see that the future of our children and great grandchildren, what have you, is guaranteed. I will come back again to see. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Thank you so much, sir. I imagine that you wouldn't give that guilty message because of the very thick paper that you are going to deliver. And so we get to the ultimate number, the persons. Okay, so can we at this time welcome the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Executive Secretary and CEO, and I refer to him as the Honorable Executive Secretary, Dr. Oji Obona, General Applause for his brilliant message. I don't have the courage to enforce the 2-minute rule when it comes to you. I don't know whether how we will do it, sir.
Except if you have got another job. Well, my colleagues on the high table and development partners in particular, heads of the agencies here present, the chair of IATT, which is NATI, and my sister Jen, the director, technical unit and governance and anti-corruption. I apologize for coming late. I was actually on vacation, but because of the importance, I have to be here. Thank you very much. On behalf of NATI, the National Stakeholders Working Group, which currently chairs the interagency task team, made up of all the 21 anti-corruption agencies, most of whom are seated here, I bring you warm greetings. This day is more than a day to commemorate the anti-corruption day in our continent. The solemn reaffirmation of our continental commitment to approach corruption, defend our regional integrity and uphold dignity of every African. The theme promoting human dignity in the fight against corruption is not only timely, but powerful, and indeed unambiguous. Corruption is more than financial misconduct. It's a direct attack on our intelligence, our human dignity, and our honor as a country and as a continent. Healthcare, good roads, access to security, clean water, justice, and employment opportunity, opportunities for investment. It fuels poverty, ignorance, misery, and disease, undermines our democracy, and erodes public trust across all institutions, as already highlighted. As Native, we confront this menace with facts, disclosures, public disclosures, courageous public disclosures, civic engagement, and institutional partnerships, as all are stated here, including with the media. As we confront this menace, we are leading a national change on beneficial ownership. We expose social and environmental consequences of the extractive industry, giving voice to the voiceless and enabling impacted communities to seek redress, and we support them to seek justice. We're also leading national charge of beneficial ownership, transparency, a strategic weapon against illicit financial flows. Working with the Corporate Affairs Commission, we have already supported and established the National Beneficial Ownership Disclosures. What does this do? It exposes beneficial owners of oil and gas assets, how they acquire them, and how they use them to manage our natural resources. Beyond this, I'm pleased to announce that I was just elected as the co-chair of the West African Regional Beneficial Ownership Transparency Forum that are galvanizing efforts at the subnational level to support this development. Together, we are preparing our next high-level meeting in Monrovia, Liberia, this November, where all relevant reviews at country and regional level will be taken into consideration for national adoption. As part of NITE's broader anti-corruption architecture, we have signed memorandum with most of the agencies stated here, the EFCC, ICPC, NFIU, and so on, to share information and data. Let us patch our declarations more with decisions and commitments, laying more emphasis on consistency. The IATP and regional partners remain fully committed to this mission for transparency, for justice, and for the dignity of every African citizen. I think your job.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for Dr. Bonayoni. You agree with me that that was a fantastic presentation. We move very quickly to invite the permit, please. We move very quickly to invite Dr. Emmanuel Uche, who is the program manager, Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program of RULAC, and that is international idea. A round of applause for the very amiable and wonderful Dr. Emmanuel Uche. I hope it's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. Even if I won't recognize anyone, I will recognize my boss and my founder here, the deputy head of the European Union delegation to Nigeria. Morning, sir. Also, our own auntie, Jedi Eba, who is our permanent secretary of the Ministry of Justice. Please permit me to stand on the established protocols recognizing all the other heads of agencies. Thank you very much, Auntie Jane Tuga, for bringing us together again under this umbrella to review the work we are doing to restore the dignity of the Nigerian. I'm happy for this year's theme, the fight against corruption and human dignity. Let's be very clear. When we're talking about promoting human dignity in the fight against corruption, please don't get it wrong. We are talking about the dignity of those 200 million and more well-meaning hardworking Nigerians who are daily shortchanged by corrupt acts, by people whom they have given their trusts. It is for those Nigerians we're talking about preserving and promoting their human dignity. And I make bold to ask the question, how do you, in all sincerity, describe that person who steals the future of the nation? Someone who steals more than what his next 2-3 generations need, and steals the future of an entire generation of communities. For goodness sake, I am not exactly sure anybody in this room will characterize such as human. While not speaking for international idea or the European Union, on this one, I would choose to speak as a Nigerian. Please, I beg us, just in line with what the policeman narrated, our police chief here narrated, the expectations of the Chinese man. That is because those who pillage our future can't qualify as human. And I will not be an advocate of human rights for animals. By the time you get to the point of pillaging your country, to the point of jeopardizing future generations, by right, you should lose your human rights. And that is what well-meaning societies will do. While not pushing for the death penalty, I think we need much, much stiffer penalties. And I want to, on this platform, quickly say, I look forward to greater partnership with all the agencies that we're already working with the help of the European Union, to continue to push the frontiers of service delivery like we have already started. We have a project now called State Service Delivery Transparency Initiative, being sponsored under the European Union Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, which seeks to step down all the grammar and all the work of the anti-corruption agencies to improve service delivery for the everyday Nigerians. That is the way to preserve their dignity. Now, ahead of the 1-year celebration, we have brought together most of the agencies here present, the Bureau for Public Procurement, ICPC, FRC, Ministry of Justice, and we're coming up with a joint framework for improving transparency. It's called Accountability Framework for the Local Government in Nigeria. That will be hitting the road very soon. The aim is primarily to give back voices to the people at the grassroots and give them control of their own future. And I want to say again, finally, before I leave the stage, let me call on every well-meaning agency to work to restore the dignity of the Nigerian person, including removing the Official Secret Act, which is still in force 14 years after the passage of strengthening the non-conviction-based asset forfeiture regime and the unexplained wealth orders regime, such that criminals should be the ones who have the onus to prove that they did not steal. I sincerely don't think we should spend all our national resources trying to convict people who are fighting us back with our own stolen resources. We should confiscate and make them prove that they legitimately own it. Let me stop here. God bless Nigeria.
That's all.
I know that you'll be excited by that particular statement, the last part of that statement. Please, the representative of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Princess Shefolo, please move over to the item. Come on. You know, but you will say the item. You know, we know you're a humble woman, but here you're representing the UN. A round of applause for her as a gift our right.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. And I will stick to your 2 minutes. I give you greetings from the country representative of the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, Mr. Sheikh Toure. And I'm just going to say the speech we have put together. Honorable guests, oh, sorry, I'm also telling me to also stand on the established protocols while I give the speech. Honorable guests, distinguished colleagues, and fellow advocates of justice. Today, as we mark the African Anti-Corruption Day, we gather not only to reflect, but to recommit. In Nigeria, the fight against corruption is not just a legal obligation. It is a moral imperative. It is about restoring dignity to our people, protecting our national wealth, and building a future where integrity is the foundation of progress for us all. Corruption in Nigeria has long undermined development, eroded public trust, and denied millions the opportunity to thrive. That we are not powerless. Across this nation, courageous individuals and institutions are rising to the challenge, to challenge the status quo. And the UNODC, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, is proud to stand beside them. In 2024, we partnered with the UNODC partnered with the National Bureau of Statistics to conduct a national corruption survey, the third one. The findings were both sobering but also encouraging, because while corruption remains one of the top concerns for Nigeria, there is a growing culture of resistance by citizens that is a testament to the power of awareness, advocacy, and accountability, and the joint efforts of everyone here present. We are also proud of our work in advancing gender equity and social inclusion. There was a dedicated chapter reports on that. And the survey reveals that women are significantly less likely to engage in bribery, and that people with disability face disproportionate burden when accessing public services. I mean, these are insights that will help us shape targeted interventions to protect the dignity of all Nigerians, regardless of their gender, their ability, or their background. Now, these efforts have a broader long-term commitment from us because it aligns with our strategic vision for Nigeria 2030, developing close consultation with our partners. That also identifies some key priority areas, including strengthening the criminal justice system, safeguarding institutions from corruption and illicit financial flows, countering terrorism, promoting public health through growth and prevention and care, but also aligning with the Nigerians' renewed hope agenda and the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. In short, we are placing people and their dignity at the heart of our every intervention. This is also embedded in our strategic vision for Africa, so it's much broader, which is more of a continent-wide mission to make Africa safer from drugs, crime, corruption, terrorism, and illicit financial fraud. It emphasizes a whole of society approach, inclusion of vulnerable populations, and bold investment in justice, resilience, and the rule of law. Together, this vision reflects UNODC's belief that dignity is not just a luxury, it is a right. Let us be clear, corruption is not a Nigerian identity, not at all. It is a challenge we are confronting head on. It thrives in secrecy, and this has been mentioned, but it cannot survive transparency. It feeds on fear, but it falters in the face of courage. So let me also join in the call for the passing and adoption of the whistleblower protection law and the whistleblower bill and the witness protection bill as well. So to our partners, our government partners, we urge you should continue leading it boldly. To our civil society, we honor your vigilance, and to the people of Nigeria, we say your dignity is not negotiable. Your future is worth fighting, is worth defending. Let this African Anti-Corruption Day
be a turning point. Let it speak to a movement where integrity is not the exception, but the expectation, where every Nigerian child, every Nigerian citizen really grows up, stands up knowing that their dreams are protected and not preyed on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a good one. As we approach the high points of this event with the delivery of the keynote address, let us have the final round of recognitions as we recognize the Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission, who is represented here by Isioma Wonsa. Isioma, a very senior promoter of human rights. Thank you for being here. And I'm also reminded that the name is properly pronounced as Dr. Fawale Usayo Angela, who is the Director, Audit, Office of the Auditor General of the Federation. We massacred your name the first time, so we are doing it right now. Thank you very much. I can see that he's smiling to that. And then civil servants are often work in secret, but these are the occasions where we recognize them in a few seconds. So NATE directors are here, Dr. Saad Balarabi, Director of Energy and Mines Department. A round of applause for him. Dr. Dick Tabasi, who is Director of Policy, Planning and Strategy. Dr. Osman Abdurrahim, Director, Executive Secretary's Office. Dr. Aflabi Abiodun, who is also the Director of Finance and Accounts. And the very amiable Mrs. Obiageli Honora, Director of Communications. She's always communicating with us. That's why, give her a round of applause. A very big one. All right, well, from the Code of Conduct Bureau, we have Mr. Abdullahi Mahmoud, who is the Director of Federal Public Service Assets Department. Is he here? Yes, thank you very much. And Mr. Moses Atolagbe, did I get it right? Good. Director of Special Duties Department. A round of applause for him. And then from the ICPC, we have Mr. Henry Amore. I wanted to recognize him earlier because he was my senior at the government college Ugedi. He said no, but now you are forced. A recognition for Mr. Henry Amore, who is the Director of Legal Services in the ICPC. Mrs. Grace Aga Ibe, who is Director of POCD, I don't know what I mean. Mr. Shebu Yaya FSI, Director of Operations. Mr. Demola Bakri, who is Director of PE&E. Mr. Hakim Polarini, FSI, Acting Director, Admin and Human Resources. Mrs. Azuka Ogugwa, Head of Reforms, that's a good one, Head of Reforms. And Mr. Ahmed Abdul, who is the Head External Cooperation. We also have Ms. Chinyere Emioha, who is the Deputy Director, Secretary's Office. Mr. John Ode Oko, who is Deputy Director of P&E. And the last but not the least, Mr. Olubunmi Kukolati. These are from the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, doing a great job. And I must tell you, Nigerians, like what you do. And now, we have reached the high point. And I invite you, as the NYC comes to do the national thing that, excited us when this event started. Please, you are invited to feel free to join them. Whether you are a big man in uniform, so long as you are excited, please feel free to join them in the dance floor. Right now, let's put our hands together to the pride of our country, the National Youth Service Corps dance troupe. Come on now.
What's wrong?
Mama,
Eh?
do you know I went for the best?
And so, what happened?
Even the interviewer said I was the best candidate for it.
Yeah, that's my son now.
But there is a problem. Mr. Bello, that's the name of the man. Mr. Bello said I must bribe him.
Right?
He is asking for a huge sum of money. May God rest his soul. He always emphasized on the need to get things done by merit and not by on a corner.
See, my son, you know, I have coached before like this. Our real leaders take our dignity to trade in their pocket.
You know my friend, Mama, you know my friend.
Right now,
If there's nobody who is not here,
you don't dignity.
has been roaming the streets looking for a job. And then look at me now. Who knows?
My son, let me tell you something. They said no.
This country backs me up all the time. But no one. We have an appointment. Have you brought something? So I came to meet with you. I came to beg you, sir. I don't have that kind of money. I pumped the midnight candles to get this. I'm just the son of a family, of an old widow. We can barely feed. Our rent is due, and we'll soon be evicted. So it's our only hope. Sir, please.
I am the son of what? An orphan. I've been an orphan. How do you tell it? Mr. Man, it's either you pay or you leave. You think I let you leave there?
I'm begging you. Sir, please. This is actually my last word. I'm begging you, sir. You cannot live in wealth and watch us suffer. No, you know I even merit this job.
Come to my office to school me. Young man, get out of my office. I said get out of my office.
I think you should
Get out.
Our dignity die. Yeah. Dignity die to die. Yeah. Dignity die to speak out. Yeah. Corruption brings our future. Corruption steals our life. We fight the truth or we fight the lies.
I cannot principle.
Yeah.
I will not sell my team.
You will not. No, we will not. My people, it is time to all rally around and follow some of the members of the interagency task to expose this darkness. Yes. You're not. You have done the right thing by reporting this to me. And bring evidence of the memory. We are here to protect your rights. We are here to protect your dignity. We will look into this case and ensure that justice is served.
Thank you, ma'am. This act of bribery and corruption has been going on for so long. And people like us are afraid to speak up because we don't even know the outcome. I had the courage to speak up. One of the numerous people that have not matters to what is become.
Do not be afraid. We are grateful that you have the courage to not just report this incident, but came forward with a substantial evidence. Do not worry. Together we will eradicate this darkness. Good morning, Mr. Bello. I am Officer Aisha, and this is my partner, Officer Dayo. We are from the Anti-Corruption Agency, and you are under arrest, sir. Charges of corruption and abuse of office. Officer Dayo, please stop it. Sir, I urge you to remain silent because whatever you do or say will be used against you in the court of law.
Don't make I know my right. You know I know.
Mr. Bello, no one is above the law. Please take it.
You know what? Ubuntu.
I am because we are.
Ubuntu.
I am because we are.
Ubuntu.
Others. Corruption is challenged. DPT is returned. I stand here today to represent the interagency tax state, which is represented by 22 NDAs, all under the anti-corruption team. We stand for dignity. Agencies like the Nigerian Police, the EFCC, the ICPC, and together will all eradicate this tax. Because dignity is worth more than silver or gold, my people.
Together we fight corruption.
Together we together.
Everybody, a big round of applause for them. I wanted some of the members to join them. It was very, very exciting. I wanted, if not for this task, oh, come on. All right, great. So if you ever are wondering where this big, strong Nigerian eagle has been in this hall, I'm glad to tell you that the heads of section and units of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, together with the members of management and staff, are right here. Round of applause for them. Come on. Clap for the EFCC because they've been recording a lot more recoveries in recent times. Many houses are there, they will soon auction them. You might just get one, so clap for them very well. They've also been bringing a lot of money to the coffers of the Federation. The other day, I saw the chairman. He said they actually funded the education, the loan fund, NEL fund, with 50 billion naira from recovery funds. That was a great one. And the EFCC is open to reforms. Even though we can't see you here, we really appreciate you. And we appreciate the great work Ola Lukayode is doing. It's a true Nigerian. A round of applause. Mrs. Victoria Ojobane is the director of the Federal Ministry of Justice. Madam, you are recognized. Interestingly, and I must say this, that you have paid your dues consistently and excellently. A big round of applause for Mr. Ojobane. And now, very quickly, let's move on to the keynote address to be delivered by the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, represented by the Amiable Mrs. Beatrice Jedi Agba, OON, MNI, the Solicitor General of the Federation, and Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Justice. Madam, do I have your permission, ma'am? All right, thank you. All right.
Well, good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and like previous speakers, I'd like to beg to adopt the protocols which have already been very well established. I should also start by apologizing for the absence of the Honorable the Attorney General Federation, who is unfortunately unable to be here because he's out of town on an official assignment. But he has asked me to convey his very warm regards and inform you of his inability to be here. So I'll just proceed now to read his address at this occasion. It is my pleasure to address you all at this high-level seminar in commemoration of the African Anti-Corruption Day 2025 and deliver the keynote address on the theme, Promoting Human Dignity in the Fight Against Corruption. Corruption, as we well know, is a universal challenge that knows no borders. It robs governments of resources that can be used for essential public services. It erodes trust in institutions and undermines the very foundation of democratic societies. But beyond the statistics and financial implications, corruption represents a direct affront to human dignity. And it's on this moral and constitutional foundation that we anchor our reflections today. The theme of this year's commemoration compels us to reframe our understanding of corruption, not merely as a breach of law or failure of governance, but a profound violation of human rights and dignity. When public funds meant for hospitals are diverted, it is not just policy failure, it is a denial of the right to life and health. When education budgets are misappropriated, it deprives generations of their future. When justice is traded for profit, it dismantles the very fabric of equality before the law. And this is why the fight against corruption, it's not just a political imperative, but a moral obligation. It is about defending the inherent value of our society, of our humanity, regardless of our socio-economic standing. Our commitment to combating corruption, therefore, must go hand in hand with steadfast dedication to the rule of law, due process, and protection of civil liberties. Distinguished participants, as we build resilient institutions, we must also build a culture of dignity where every Nigerian is treated fairly and every public institution sees service as a moral duty. While our commitment to fighting corruption is unshakable, we must be compliant with our commitment to human rights, the rule of law, and the principles of due process that guide and guard our activities within the public space. It's important also that law enforcement actions do not trample on civil liberty. Investigations must be fair and prosecutions remain impartial and objective and ensure we follow lawful procedures as provided by the Constitution and various other laws. Now, the fight against corruption must be pursued holistically, and there are certain key points I'd like to emphasize. The fight must ensure equitable access to justice, public services, and economic opportunities. The fight must mainstream human rights in governance, budgeting, and accountability system. There must be adequate protection for
whistleblowers, and investigative journalists who play vital roles in defending truth and integrity. Finally, we must also embed dignitary metrics in public service delivery so that service users feel respected, not humiliated by state processes. Our national response as a country continues to evolve through the National Anti-Corruption Strategy 2022 to 2026, which places human dignity as its core. Value-based governance is critical, and this entails cultivating an ethos in the public service that prioritizes integrity, empathy, and ethical leadership. Every public servant, from the gatekeeper to the highest office holder, must embrace the principle that the citizen is sovereign and that public office is a public trust. We must therefore urgently invest in civic education, character formation, and public service ethics, particularly at the level of youth engagement and leadership development. And it's interesting that members of the NYC should perform for us today because they hold critical roles in this. The war against corruption must be fought in the hearts, habits, and homes of our people, not just in courtrooms and agencies. We must foreground social justice in our anti-corruption sense. Today offers us not just a chance to reflect on successes we've recorded in the fight against corruption, protection of human rights, but also a renewed call to action. It is a solemn reminder that the scourge of corruption is not only a threat to legal or economic growth, but a fundamental affront to human dignity, social justice, and the prosperity of the African people. We must therefore continue to deepen regional and international cooperation, from intelligence sharing and asset recovery to mutual and harmonized legal and regulatory framework. We have signed various international, regional, and sub-regional treaties. I will just not bore you with all of it, but I just like to state that Nigeria remains unwavering in its commitment to fighting corruption. Our government agencies working together under the umbrella of the Interagency Task Force continue to work tirelessly in investigation, prosecution, and recovery. But beyond numbers, our aim is to restore public trust in government. Our obligations under UNCAC, the AU Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and other instruments provide both a compass and a benchmark. We shall continue to lead and collaborate across the continent on issues that are critical to our mandate. I'd like to commend the AU Advisory Board on Corruption and other regional bodies for their tireless work galvanizing collective effort. We must continue to empower appropriate institutions and stakeholders to achieve our quest in combating corruption and call for deeper synergy among African member states. Corruption is a transnational enterprise. It must be met with a transnational response. I'd like to also thank my members of the IAT, the Secretariat, Chuga, and others for organizing this event. I'd like to particularly commend UNODC, the European Union, MacArthur Foundation, ROLAC, and the Center for Democracy and Development for supporting this event. I hope I haven't missed anyone, but I thank you all for making this a reality. The Ministry of Justice is always proud to be associated with these events, and that's why you see that it's always the Attorney General or myself who comes for these events. I end with a call for us all to rekindle our shared determination, not only to expose and punish corruption, but to affirm and defend the inherent dignity of every Nigerian, every African. Let us be guided by law, our conscience, inspired by justice, and anchored on our common humanity. So I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to express the remarks of the Attorney General, and I wish us all a very successful and productive delegation.
Thank you, Madam Solicitor General, for that very rousing call, penetrating for respect human rights and in the fight against corruption. Another round of applause for the Solicitor General Federation. 30 million Nigerians are watching this video. 30 million Nigerians can't be wrong. What do you use opportunity to thank the members of the media who are doing a great job? Please report this very well, because as we thank the people who are also here, we know that millions of Nigerians will key to the message of the Solicitor General of the Federation this time. So thank you very much, media. So we've reached the point of a very high point of today's event, and it's the paper presentation entitled Promoting Human Dignity in the Fight Against Corruption, the Role of the Judiciary, Law Enforcement Agencies, and other critical stakeholders, to be delivered by Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, the Executive Chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. Now, join me in welcoming the representative of the Executive Chairman of the ICPC for the presentation. We are now in the technical section. We're going straight on, we're moving fast. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's have your attention. Are we okay? All right. A round of applause for the representative of the Chairman of the ICPC, Mr. Okparabi. Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning, all. Once again, I bring you greetings from the ICPC, led by Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, who is unavoidably absent. I have been directed to present this paper on his behalf, and whatever thing I say here is that of Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu. This presentation, which is being made on the African Anti-Corruption Day of 11 July 2025, on the topic of promoting human dignity, the fight against corruption, the role of the judiciary, law enforcement agencies, and other critical stakeholders. I want to say that corruption, over 3 hours or 2-3 hours now, will be on the word corruption and how it affects the citizens of this great country. It's a crime committed by individuals or a group of people who have decided to break or contravene, lay down rules and regulations for their own personal gains. The act of corruption endangers the stability of a society and acts as an impediment to democracy worldwide. The Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, are seriously threatened by corruption worldwide. It is a threat to the achievement of the new agenda of the present administration. The theme of this year's celebration is promoting human dignity in the fight against corruption. From this theme, it is pertinent to think around how we navigate the ethical tension inherent in anti-corruption, which is the dignity of paradise. Corruption directly erodes human dignity by reducing the quality of life of individuals in the country And the methods used to fight it can paradoxically also infringe on human dignity if not carefully managed. We are talking of same issue, but on both different sides, both for the individuals and those who are the victims. It is on this note that I wish to thank the organizers of this seminar to mark the 2025 African Union Anti-Corruption Day. The 11th day of July each year has been set aside as African Union Day Against Corruption, and to mark the adoption of the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Crime or Corruption, which was reached in 2003 in Maputo, Mozambique. The role of the judiciary, law enforcement agents, and other critical stakeholders will attempt to look into the debilitating effects of corruption and how it erodes human dignity, and combating it within the confines of extant laws and rules without infringing on the rights of the citizens. We have attempted to break down this discussion, and we'll start with the issue of the dignity imperative. That is, why as a human rights issue? Why is corruption a human rights issue? Corruption has been identified worldwide as a major threat to democracy, development, and the establishment of rule of law. The former United Nations General Secretary General, Mr. Kofi Annan, once said, and I quote, "Corruption hurts the poor disproportionately by diverting funds intended for development, undermining government's ability to provide basic services, fueling inequality, and discouraging foreign investment and aids." Since the signing of the convention, the world is fighting back. And what the convention requires now is the cooperation of member countries and the people. Corruption, to our mind, is divided into two parts. We have what we may call the grand corruption and the petty corruption. The grand corruption, which we look at, is the corruption that pervades the highest levels of governance. This obviously operates at the institutional level, both at local, state, and federal levels, which in turn leads to lack of confidence in good governance, the rule of law, and economic stability. The petty corruption, on the other hand, involves the exchange of small amounts of money and benefits or gifts for the granting of minor favors by those seeking preferential treatment. The basic difference between grand corruption and petty corruption is that grand corruption involves the distortion or corruption of the central function of government, while petty corruption exists within the context of established governance and social framework. Corruption undermines the security of the state. It erodes stability and it sabotages a country's economy and thus all efforts at economic growth. It can also extinguish democracy. The ills and evils of corruption are endless. Corruption in Nigeria significantly undermines human dignity by eroding trust in institutions, which has already been said by several persons, exacerbating poverty and hindering access to essential services like healthcare and education. It creates a system where basic human rights are not respected, and citizens are often subjected to unfair treatment and discrimination. Corruption impacts on human dignity in every aspect of our life includes it erodes public trust in government and other institutions, making citizens feel powerless, disrespected, and citizens on the other hand have the tendency to disobey basic laws and norms. Corruption diverts resources from vital social services like healthcare and education, trapping vulnerable populations in poverty and limiting their opportunities for advancement. Corruption again, which is now in the judiciary and law enforcement agencies, undermines the rule of law, making it difficult for citizens to seek redress for grievances and leading to a sense of injustice and seeking justice through other law. Of course, in this area, several persons with the mindset that they will not get justice are tempted to take laws into their hands. And of course, there are persons who think that, because I do not have, or do I not know anybody? What's the point when wasting my data resources in getting the service of a solicitor or a lawyer, to canvass my case? I rather do what I think I should do. After all, the person who had carried out corrupt practices which have affected me, nothing has been done to him or her. Corruption can lead to human rights abuses, such as arbitrary detention, torture, and extrajudicial killings, particularly when those in positions of power abuse their authority. Well, these are things that happen every day. Well, we hear them, we read them in the face of newspapers and all that. Those perpetrators have been, because when people talk of corruption, like I said earlier on, it's not just the issue of money, it's using your position. Well, and that's why we say corrupt practices, using your position, your advantage or disadvantage of whoever that may be the end user. Corruption in elections and governance structures weakens democratic institutions, making it difficult for citizens to hold their leaders accountable, most often lead to voter particular election. Of course, you will agree that in very recent times, there has been this clamor, there was a bill to say that will force people to go and vote. If you don't vote, pay a certain amount of. There was a bill that is in the National Assembly. People kicked against it. The reason is very simple. Why the ones I have done, I have not seen anything. Why should I come out? And of course, if you know, those who have been, found that over time, on the day election, they see children playing football. Out of people just using as a day of rest. Nobody wants to come out because of those are part of the voters are passing. Corruption fosters a culture of impunity and moral decay, where dishonesty and unethical behavior are tolerated or even encouraged. And corruption, of course, in the health sector can lead to substandard and lack of access to essential medicine. While corruption in education can result in inadequate facilities, unqualified teachers, and compromised learning outcomes. These are things that we hear every day. But overall, corruption in Nigeria creates a society where human dignity is not valued, basic rights are violated, and opportunities for advancement are limited, particularly for the most vulnerable. Addressing corruption is crucial not only for economic development, but also for upholding the fundamental rights and dignity of all Nigerians. In combating corruption, while we have considered corruption is an affront to human dignity, the fight against it presents a dignity paradox. That is how to aggressively attack corruption without compromising the very human dignity and rights we seek to protect. Recognizing the fact that corruption must be tackled within the confines of the law, various jurisdictions have enacted legislations to protect the dignity of its citizens. For instance, in Nigeria, by Chapter 4, that is Roman figure 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, that made several provisions for the protection of the dignity of human person and fundamental rights. The 1999 Constitution as amended guarantees that there are fundamental legal provisions that protect fundamental freedoms and liberty. These guarantees are enshrined in the Constitution, and they ensure that individuals are treated with dignity and respect, free from arbitrary state interference, and enjoy basic rights like freedom of expression, religion, and assembly. They also establish processes for fair trials and protection against discrimination. And I refer also to Section 34(1), 1999 Constitution, which for once of time may not, but which that again, that particular provision, Section 34(1) of the Constitution, is talked about the respect for the dignity of person. Wherein they said, no person shall be subject to torture or inhuman treatment or degrading treatment. Nobody shall be held in slavery or servitude, and no person shall be required to perform forced or compulsory labor. Now, the Constitution, again, I said, by Section 35, guarantees right to personal liberty. The same 1990 Constitution provides that any person charged with a criminal offense must be given a fair trial. And of course, these rights ensure fairness in legal processes, including the prevention of innocence, the right to a fair hearing, the right to legal representation, and of course, the right to appeal, wherein you are not satisfied with the judgment of a court of first instance. Of course, you look at the section 36(1) of the 1999 Constitution, which gives in the determination of our rights that there must be independence and impartiality. Well, we look again at the section 36(5) of the Constitution, which has that presumption of innocence until proven guilty. All those are constitutional provisions which guarantee the rights of individuals and of course the dignity, right to dignity. These constitutional provisions ensure that every citizen is guaranteed a fair trial. There are also international instruments, and that is, I think, should be more interested. Other than the local provisions, like the 1999 Constitution, which is applicable to us, there are other provisions of international nature for which Nigeria, being a member of the United Nations and all that, and even the African Charter, are privy to. There are also international instruments and treaties guaranteeing the dignity of one's person, such as the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Nigeria, of course, is a signatory to these treaties, which contents have been very domesticated in our domestic, in the Nigerian Constitution and our laws. For instance, the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights provides us that everyone is entitled in full equality to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal in determination of his rights and obligations of any criminal charge against him. In everyone charged with a penal offense has the right. When you talk about penal offense, you're talking about an offense that has to do with by punishment by welfare stagnation, by this death penalty, has the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, according to law, in a public trial at which he has had the guarantees necessary for his defense. No one shall be held guilty of any penal offense on account of any act or omission which did not consider a penal offense under national and international law at the time when it was committed, nor shall a heavier penalty be imposed than the one that was applicable at the time of the penal offense was committed. Now, the African Charter, on the other hand, on human rights and people's rights, also provides that every individual shall have the right to the respect of the dignity inherent in a human being and to the recognition of his legal status. All forms of exploitation and degradation of a man, particularly slavery, slave trade, torture, cruel, inhumane, and degrading punishment and treatment shall be prohibited. Likewise, that same child said, every individual shall have the right to liberty and the security of his person. No one may be deprived of his freedom except for reasons and conditions previously laid down by law. In particular, no one may be arbitrarily arrested or detained. Every individual shall have the right to have his cause heard. This comprises the right to an appeal, competent national organs against acts of violating his fundamental rights as recognized and guaranteed by the conventions, laws, regulations, and customs enforced in that place. The right to be presumed innocent until proved guilty by a competent court or tribunal. The right to defense, the right to be defended by counsel of your choice. The right to be tried within a reasonable time by an impartial court or tribunal. And of course, no one may be condemned for an act or omission which did not constitute a legally punishable offense at the time it was committed. No penalty may be inflicted for an offense for which no provision was made at the time it was committed. Punishment, of course, to all this is personal and cannot be imposed and can only be imposed only on the offender. What are we saying? Mr. B may not have committed a crime. You don't judicial punishment to Mr. A. Same way that in this country, sometimes a man commits an offense, to go and call the wife. Those things are fraud and are not legal. As already recognized, corruption is most prevailing of all crimes, which act as a catalyst to other crimes. You know, from corruption, other things, there are other fallouts. Corruption leads to youth restiveness. Corruption leads to other things. So, therefore means that to detect it, investigate it, and prosecute corruption demands unconventional means and approaches. It's important that it is nipped in the bud. That is the bottom line. Because it's a known fact that they cost less to dictate and to maybe the body than to investigate and prosecute. This must however be done within the confines of acceptable legal parameters as stated in the instrument. Then we have the other aspect of it, the dignity paradox. In juxtaposing human dignity and the need to eradicate corruption, there are attendant risks involved across the various stages in the fight against corruption. Of course, we have the investigation phase. There is the potential for arbitrary detention and seizure of assets, torture or inhuman treatment, ill-treatment, violation of privacy, disproportionate surveillance, harassment of family, malicious media reports. All this could arise as a result of the pervasiveness of some operatives. There we are talking about the investigative aspect of corruption, which is normally done by the investigative operatives. Of course, we know what we are talking about. Now we will talk about the prosecution phase. In prosecuting cases in court, there could be lack of due process, prolonged trial, malicious or unfair trials, politicization of cases, of course, media trials. These are some of the things we see every day. Sometimes when cases are prolonged in courts, witnesses at some point, you don't see them anymore. Vital witnesses that could be used in getting conviction, you don't see them anymore. Because either they have been transferred, they are dead, or they are not within jurisdiction anymore. This has always have a problem for the smooth prosecution of cases. Then we have the asset recovery phase. That phase is the one that is so much of importance. Why did I say so? If assets, more oftentimes you find out that most the end results or benefits of corrupt practices are possession of assets. More of these assets are taken outside the shores of this country. We normally have difficulties bringing them back. Difficulty in the sense that one, to trace those assets. Two, having the legal framework in recovering them and bringing them back to the country. And of course, here again, where all the agencies involved in asset tracing have to have some sort of relationship with foreign bodies, because you cannot on your own, even if you identify it and you see it, that the certain assets in the, for instance, the United Kingdom, you can't just walk in there and take them back. No, you have to go through several processes. That's why it's always essential that you build relationship, enter into conventions and treaties, see how those assets can be recovered. So the implications on that, again, on innocent third parties, lack of transparency in the returns of the assets, which are, of course, bad social services. Then we have the enforcement override, where is it to punish overshadows that respect for human fundamental freedom. This pitfall, these pitfalls of which I have just identified, they kind of work against the right or the fight by institutions, anti-corruption institutions, to fight corruption. Therefore, it's important that we tread cautiously in what we are doing, especially in the area of and keeping the balance between that of the asset that is stolen, that of those who are now talking about their dignity, and vis-a-vis that of the victims and those who are supposed to enjoy the benefits of those stolen assets. Then the guidance on dignity, we're now talking about the judiciary. The judiciary must ensure that due process is followed by law enforcement agencies in the investigation and prosecution of corruption cases. It must ensure that there are fair trials, protection of defendants' rights, professionality in asset recovery. The judicial powers are invested in the court by provision of Section 6 of the 1999 Constitution. And it must be done judicially and judiciously. And the judiciary must uphold and guarantee the rule of law, prevent and check arbitrary state power. They agree with me that the prosecution will do their own side of the case. And that is the area of investigation, and if they are satisfied that the prima facie case has been made out, for instance, they will throw it to the realm of the judicial, that is the courts. Again, at that point, the presumption of innocence comes in. And the other legal safeguards, all with the view to ensure that the dignity and the rights of the person, even to those who have committed the offense, vis-a-vis the person, the victim, you have to balance their rights, in the court. And the court has a lot of duty to ensure that procedurally things are done right. It does not follow that because you have been brought to court, then let me shock you. Even in a murder case, a man is caught red-handed, killing, and he comes to court to say, I plead guilty. The court will enter the plea of not guilty. You have to prove that he killed the person. That's how the law operates. And all these things are done all with a view to guard against, people sometimes, if they say it's better to let one innocent person go free than 99%, to go convicted. So that is how the law works. But sometimes it's not, it may not work too well, but that's where we are. Then the law enforcement agent who must ensure the highest ethical standards in investigation and prosecution of corrupt cases. There must also dignity contribution ensures lawful procession, exercise prosecutorial discretion with fairness, which of course should protect individual liberty during enforcement. For the civil societies, on your own part, you have human rights monitoring group. You have to support the victims. The victim here includes even those who are victims of the crime of corruption. You have to have legal aid advocating for transparency and accountability in anti-corruption processes. On the side of the media, there should be responsible investigative journalism. That is, in other words, you have to balance public interest with that of individual, privacy to reputation, and preventing trial by media. On the private sector, we have to uphold ethical business practices, fostering compliance culture, due diligence in the supply chains. And of course, for the citizens and the community, we have to do what we call safe reporting mechanism, demanding accountability for both corruption and rights abuses. And for the legislation, we have to make provision of robust legal regimes for protection of human dignity, of course, which includes the whistleblower and witness protection law, which almost everybody talked here earlier, because this will go a long way to help the fight against corruption. Because once somebody said, so the view that if I open up, I speak, I cannot be protected, and there's no point. Why should I open up? Why should I give information? If at the end of the day that will be done at my own risk, they will not do that. So there must be a legislation to that effect. Now, we'll go to current realities which undermine human dignity and anti-corruption. Part of which is a lack of robust legal framework for the protection of whistleblowers, which I have said. The closest we have come on that is the provision of the provision of AJA 2015, the psychological safety of whistleblowers must be secured, like I did. I want to say that trial by media reported of ongoing investigations which presents the defendant as guilty contradicts the guaranteed presumption of innocence. Once something happens, sometimes somebody is seen and arrested, it's where it happens, tie him up, oh, he did this, he did that. Sometimes those persons will be innocent people, but people have judged them already. Especially when it's a situation of mob action, all those should be discountenanced. Then the human rights violation case against law enforcement agencies is indicating that more needs to be done. Though this volume of cases is not a proof that rights are being violated anyway. And this one, I will attempt to make recommendations, and that will be the end of it. The recommendations we ought to do is that we're asking for mandatory human rights impact assessments for all anti-corruption policies. 2, we want to reiterate the passage of Whistleblower and Witness Protection Act. 3, we're asking for capacity building for law enforcement agencies on ethical investigation and human rights standards. 4, we're asking for transparency and asset recovery and mechanism for victim compensation, so restoration. And 5, we're talking about developing clear metrics for dignity in anti-corruption beyond conviction rates. This, and we later we can say that the war against corruption can be won if we support each other. Like everyone has said there, it takes two to tango. Nobody, no single person can fight corruption because, as much as you try to do it, they come through different facets. And of course, it's important that we act proactively and lead some of them in the but those that have already taken place, see how we can be able to restore the confidence of Nigerians, all of us, all Nigeria is all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. That was indeed an eye-opener, and we look forward to those brilliant reformist ideas that you canvassed in that paper. Thank you very much, Chairman of the ICPC. I think that this has been a very wonderful, you have been a very wonderful audience, composed. I saw a number of you taking notes and no fussing. That has been great. And so give yourself a round of applause, please. Come on, do that. We shall entertain just 3 questions, in response to this brilliant paper that has been delivered. I'm sure you are intimidating me by standing right in front of me to point your hand. A man in pink, I think you're recognized. You're recognized. Yes, any more hands, please? All right. I think you may want to step forward, sir. And in the spirit of transparency, you will introduce yourself and address your question. And thank you very much. Excuse me, please. I have been told that you're restricted to 4 minutes, please. And while Mr. Chairman, sir, you may take note of the questions and answer them in a row.
All protocol, I stand in the formal protocol that is existing. My name is Chukwuemeka Chukwu from Whistleblower and Corruption Reporting Network 1. And my question, or rather my kind of statement, is on the issue of litigations against people who have mismanaged public funds, who are involved in big time corruption. We find out that when we get into litigation, it will keep lasting until sometimes the public lose interest in the case, or sometimes the whole case is diverted. Is there anything the interagency team will be doing to see how we will be able to reduce the time of litigation when it comes to corruption issue? Because when you look at some diseases that are, attacking people, the moment the disease comes, especially when it is endemic, everybody rises to all this, and then before you know it, they shut it down. And when corruption comes, which is more dangerous than some of these diseases, we pamper it, we allow it to last for a long time, and then we keep discussing and talking
Next year, we are going to come around, we discuss and talk. Another year, we'll come around, discuss and talk, and nothing tangible is being achieved. So is there anything that we can do about it? Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a long one. Please allow the organizers to interrupt this question and answer session so that we can have a formal photograph, because these senior officers will have some very, very important things to catch up with. So while I will be taking notes of those who will intend to ask questions, but please, is the cameraman ready? Yes, so let's have, and then if there's any formal, any particular order other than the service table, then proceed, please. Just come on. All right. As this, okay, great. Any questions? No? All right, great. Would it not be better? Okay. All right, good. So let's go. All right. Please encourage them with a round of applause. You will soon be like them, especially those of you who are praying for promotion. Come on, clap for them. They were once there before and then they are here now. That's how it works. Good. While we watch the group photograph of going on, we like to recognize the presence of Mr. Charles C. Abana, Esquire, who is the Director of Legal Investigation and Enforcement at the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. Mr. Abana, if you're there, please wave your hands. Oh, great. You really look like a time-tested lawyer. Good. And then we also have Fatima Binta Abubakar, also of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. She is the head of the Secretariat. Madam Abubakar, are you there? Oh, great, great. Oh, no wonder. A round of applause, please. You have corrected me on 2 occasions with regards to the chairman. I appreciate that. Thank you. Again, Dr. Fawale Busayo Ayina, Melafia Abdullahi Abubakar, Okafor Agbi Uchenna, Mrs. Bola Audu, Ishoma Joy, Mrs. Pani Innocent. Please listen carefully to these wonderful people, the names of these wonderful people. Sam also, this one is a difficult one. Sam Adiola, Salibu Danjuma, Oronko Francis, Lamode Larai, and sorry, please, I'm sorry. And Yoko Udochukwu, please. These are the fantastic directors of the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation. Please, gentlemen, we acknowledge your good work, and please a round of applause for them. The directors of the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation are here present. Great. So let's take the questions. The man in pink has answered. Those of you who were taking notes very dexterously. I saw you with some sense of seriousness. No questions. You need to show that you understand the paper that has been presented. Yes, where are the lawyers in the house? I haven't heard any of such hopeful reformist agenda as has been given in that paper presentation by the ICPC chairman. Any further questions? If there are none, then let us invite Mr. Okparabi to please respond to that question as we bring this to a close. I'm sure that if you don't have a question, I don't know, wait a minute. While the paper presentation was going on, I saw notes being taken. I saw people listening with very, keen attention. Now it's time to know whether you understand it or to get some response. We have just one. I think you've done a good job. A round of applause for the AIG. The AIG has a question. Can you imagine? The AIG has a question. Okay, everybody listen.
Yeah, thank you, Prosper Studio. That is not a question per se, but it's something I would want the chairman also to incorporate and educate our audience, when he answers that. Any other question? Now there is a woman. She went to the police and reported her goat was stolen. Now the police did a good job. The thief was arrested. He was prosecuted and he was convicted. And then at the stage of prosecution, she was coming to court at the end stage. And then later she stopped coming to court. So when the police gave conviction, they were worried. I not seeing Mama again. She's an aged woman in the village. So they took time to inform her that, well, Mama, that case, that's your case. We have finally gained conviction. And then she asked just one question. What about my goat? Because for her, that is justice. For the police, we get conviction. For the court, they have done justice. But for her, that justice is her goat. If she gets her goat back, then she has justice. And now we have a beautiful law under AJA, Administration of Criminal Justice Act. Unfortunately, I don't think many people are in the picture yet. And because you can, while prosecution is ongoing, you can bring it in. And I'm sure the chairman will tell us more about that aspect of it, so that people don't just go home with conviction alone. Because, and I remember that there's a case we're doing when I was in Kwara, one celebrated case of a young boy who killed 24-year-old. He beheaded and butchered a young lady who was in the final year, 23 years to the final year. So now the FIDA, International Federation of Women Lawyers, was Commissioner of Police in Kwara then. So they came to the office and they came in their numbers. That tells you how serious. And this is what they wanted. They said, fine, we are happy the way the case is going. The case was already in court. We have recovered exhibits. So it's a good case. Definitely we're going to gain conviction. But while the case was ongoing and the FIDA came and said, please, we want you to give us some information because we want justice and justice in totality. That convicting this boy and giving him a death sentence is not enough. He thinks he has been doing it. Technically, he has some money. He's living well. And so they want information on his account so that they can, address the court to give the parents, put a PND on that account, and at the end of judgment they will make the court to, whatever is there in that account as compensation for the parents, because sentencing him to death, it's not. What about all the money they have spent on her to train her from day one to she was in the final year? So the chairman will also include that in so that we can go home.
I want you to clap for the AIA, please. A round of applause. I know the AIA, whenever you talk, they don't listen to you. It appears you are a fantastic storyteller. You have a lot of stories to tell. Please, that's a good job. Honestly, sir, if you hadn't said this meeting would not have been completed. Complete, I would say. Thank you very much, sir. Yes.
Okay, on the first question that was thrown by Chukwemeka, I guess Chukuma, on the issue, I'm sure what you are talking about is the length, the elaborate time that it takes for the conclusion of a case in court. And you asked if there's anything these agencies or persons can do. And you highlighted the difficulties or the hardship that it causes when it takes so much time to prosecute a case to its conclusion. I think that's what I understand you're asking. I can tell you categorically that there is no law in our criminal law or in our constitution that say the trial must commence and end. All we hear is reasonable time. They said it must commence and concluded within a reasonable time. What constitutes a reasonable time is a different calculation. All again depends on the circumstance, the nature of the case, the nature of the trial, the number of witnesses, and of course, the subject matter. I think the closest that the courts have done or the legislation have done is just very recently on the election matters, which they say concluded within 480 days. But we're hoping that if that can be, amendments made to our laws to say that trials could be completed. But you see, the danger in so doing is that sometimes when you rush trials, you make mistakes. I can tell you that from my own experience as a lawyer. Sometimes, you are already a case, before you know it, vital witnesses, vital evidence, and all that are thrown overboard because you don't sacrifice justice because of speed. That is the truth. So I think that's my answer to that. But I think that what we have done over time, just like I've realized that if all the agencies should do their work, those investigating, if they are thorough in their investigations, if those who are prosecuting have drafted their charges the way they should be, the witnesses are ready, the courts are sitting. That is another problem we have. Sometimes the lawyers, the prosecuting agencies, they are ready with the evidence, the witness. They say, even some judges, with due respect, some judges say, bring your witness. Let's actually bring all your witnesses. By the time you go to court that day, the court is not sitting. You have a problem. The lawyer, the witness, and of course, the cost. I can tell you that it costs so much money in taking care of witnesses. Of course, where we are and how things are in the country. So sometimes with all this, sometimes, of course, I agree. If there's this kind of momentum, once the case arrests everybody, they're eager. But once the case starts, people will forget it. And that again is a problem for us. I believe that all of us, should put hands together to see that we surmount that problem. Then just briefly on the one that I talked about on the issue of the AJA, that's Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. It's a very reformist law. It gave a lot of human face to our criminal justice system. This issue of while you are standing trial, you can even call it the victim can ask for compensation. That the law now allows that. But what I'm not sure, because there is no judicial pronouncement which I know that says that you go and dip your hand in the pocket of the defendant. I don't know if you understand. And then you pay the victim compensation. Just like that, no. You must go through another process. Just like what we are talking about, asset tracing. Somebody steals, corrupts, and gets this. And this particular thing came about as a result of corrupt practices. You don't just go there and collect it. We must go through the process. Do the law. And then if it's the issue of assets, and then we go through the ways provided by our POCA. That's what the law of POCA, Prevention of Crime Act. Go through all that process, go to court, ask for seizure, interim measure, and all that, and all that in the future. But it is that.
can call the order of the office of the building of that.
Thank you very much. My name is Barry Travis Dennis from EFCC. I have 3 questions, but I'll just ask only one. No, let's ask one because of time. I am standing on the existing protocol. My question is, how do we handle cases where public interest seems to justify breach of dignity? How do we handle cases where public interest seems to justify breach of dignity? Example, publishing names or parading suspects. So how do we handle such cases? Thank you very much.
Isoma, please come. Introduce yourself.
On everybody, standing on the protocol, just want to appreciate the presenter for a very insightful paper. Our question is based on my name is Isioma Musa, representative of the National Human Rights Commission of Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, sir, you made mention in your recommendation concerning, I didn't quite get it, but mandatory human rights impact assessments on corruption. Okay, that is a recommendation. But I just want to find out because I know a lot of people that are only beginning to appreciate the intersect between corruption and human rights. So that's why we're very happy with AU. Now going forward, we just want to have we need to partner with Human Rights Commission. I don't know if you developed a tool for people, for anti-graft agencies to begin to be consciously infuse or into your operations, in your curriculum, whether you invited the Human Rights Commission to train you or what this impact assessment is all about, so that when you're discharging your duties, you be mindful, and then the people you are also persecuting or arraigning would also know that they have their rights as well. So thank you very much. Looking forward to your response.
Let me start with yours. Yours is we made a recommendation, and I can tell this recommendation stems from the fact that we have in the commission ICPC, we have a procedure. Maybe you do not know it. When we invite anybody, we therein in the invitation data make it clear, categorical invitation, come with your lawyer, come with your representative or human rights. We make that is clear. Ask anybody who has been invited by ICPC. So all that is the view to ensure that you observe, you see for yourself that we are doing this the way the law shines on you. We don't do this in secrecy. We invite you, come with your lawyer, come with your whoever, and that I think that answers your question on that. So we are very clear on that. Then on the first question on the issue of balancing of public interest, starts by the madam from EFCC against that of dignity of person, such as parading people. I have said earlier on here that that idea of parading people, which I take the view that it's media trial. With due respect, over time, people have condemned it, and we agree with them that is not a proper way to go. And that's why we in ICPC, if there is a matter before us, we carry out our investigation first, preliminary, before we invite you. We don't, by the time we are sure, we just show it to you. This is the evidence that's against you. Then now the policy. So we don't just go fishing. I don't know if you get the point. Don't go fishing. That has always been the way we operate. And now, if in the other hand that somebody issue of public interest and all that, you want to balance it. Again, it depends on the nature of the subject matter. If, for instance, the offense of terrorism, which we all of us here will condemn, of course, the interest of the state overwhelm that of the suspects. Let's face facts. In a matter of that nature, for instance, you cannot, because you want to protect the dignity or the right of the person whom you are satisfied, prima facie case like a terror. His own right cannot outweigh that of the other members of the public. Let's be very honest about it. So all again depends on the subject matter. But of course, on the face value, the issue of parading somebody without any preliminary investigation, of course, you have condemned that person to panic, which in a civilized world does not really. But again, even in the Western world, they do it, but with some form of limitation. You cannot tell me that you're not aware that they say, 25-year-old man, for instance, where they say it, so they will state his name, but they may not show the picture. With the name, you are part of it has been given away. It's not correct. There is no way you can protect the identity of somebody, a criminal, or shield his identity at the detriment of the public at large. Because it has its own consequences. Because if the identity of the person somehow disclosed after you have found out as a fact, preliminarily, that the person is involved in a crime, it gives room for persons who may have over time had ideas of his criminality to come forward and give evidence. That is the truth. There are persons who over time say, I'm suspecting this man, but maybe I'm not sure. But by the time it becomes obvious, by way of what we have said, people say, I think I'm right. This is what I have found. This is what I think the man has done sometime past, and I witnessed it. But I didn't want to say anything. Of course, that again where the whistle and all that comes in. So in all, there are situations, in summary, wherein the public interest should outweigh that of the criminal, especially where we're talking about many want to protect his dignity. Because that criminal is non-criminal, or whom you have perceived by preliminary investigation, I keep saying that, who he has not respected the rights and privileges of the larger society. So it's not, in my own view, it's not entitled to that. Listen, thank you very much.
Thank you. Give me the round of applause. Mr. Paragraph, if I have some respect for you before, that respect has increased. Because I think that your experience in this work has shown in the answers you have given. Thank you very much, sir. And we've come to the end of this event. And I can't thank you enough as an audience that has been, or participants that have been very, very cooperative. Now, cooperate to the last. There is a door over there. After Chancellor Jagawa comes to, who is a member of the interagency tax team, comes over here to give the vote of thanks. When you are going out, please make sure you go through that door, because there's some handsome and well benefiting takeaway. So, oh, great, great. So that they don't need to listen to Chancellor, right? So is Chancellor ready now? Please come for Chancellor to come. You always won't get that thing that's waiting over there. Come on, come on, come on. A round of applause. It's a woman, in our country now, things are changing, All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. MC. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please permit me to stand for the established protocols. I would like to respectfully, my name is Chancellor Jagawa. From the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. I would like to respectfully extend the warm greetings of my CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, Hajiya Hafsat A. Bakari, who is currently attending the ECOM plenary, which is a plenary of all FIUs, about over 170 FIUs from the world. So it's like a statutory meeting for us to attend. So unfortunately, she would have loved to be here. She's not here at the moment, and she sends her warm greetings. Her passion for the fight against corruption is evident in our collaborative effort at the FIU. We really collaborate a lot with our sister agencies, members of the IATT, both domestic and international, sharing of actionable intelligence
we do not play with that at all. So that is from our steering leadership that we are able to collaborate in that manner. Today I'm speaking to you as a member of the IATT. So on behalf of the planning committee of this beautiful program today, we are grateful to each and every one of you for the successful commemoration of the African Anti-Corruption Day of 2025. We would like to say a big thank you to the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice for gracing this occasion by the presence also of the Solicitor General of the Federation who was here to deliver the keynote address. We would like to say a big thank you to the ICPC Chairman who presented the paper, ably presented by the Commission Secretary. Thank you very much, sir. We would like to say a big thank you to all the heads of agencies here present. The IG of Police, thank you very much, sir, for your presence. AIG representing the IG of Police, thank you very much for your presence. Thank you for every agency here represented, specifically the 22 agencies of the Interagency Task Team, the IATT. We are grateful for your presence. Members of the civil society and private sector, thank you for your presence here as well. We would like to say a big thank you to the African Union Advisory Board Against Corruption for the theme of this year and for their role in this African fight against corruption. We would like to say thank you to our sponsors, the European Union, the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, ROLAC, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, MacArthur Foundation, and the Center for Democracy and Development, the CDD. Thank you so much for your support in the planning and successful execution of this program today. And our hope is that each and every one of us will play our role in promoting the human dignity in our fight, our collective fight against corruption. Thank you very much and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Francis. My name is Frank Tipi, and I thank myself because I didn't thank everybody, nobody has thanked me. And I also thank God for the opportunity at the National Service. So, all right, that brings to the end of the formal ceremony of the 2025 African Anti-Corruption Day. Congratulations to all of us. Please, you have conducted yourself very well and I've been praising you. Don't let food take that honor from you now. Don't go quietly. All right, orderly. Very okay. You've been a fantastic audience today. Great.